Alright guys, so I thought I'd just run through some noise cancelling options for adventure riding. And if we go back to the basics, I didn't even have to look in my jacket to know that somewhere in there would be a packet of 3M foam earplugs. And that's what I started with, and I had a look at some of the different options. I had some ear mold ones made which fit quite well for about a year, and then I guess the shape of your ear changes a little bit, and I almost had to ride with my jaw open a little bit to make it seal properly. They were very good. Passively they cut out more noise than the foam plugs. Not quite as comfortable as the foam plugs, and that's what I wear on my 350 when I'm just trail riding or my free ride. But then when I went on adventures and you ride for longer distances and longer times, you want to maybe have a little bit of music playing. So I went to in-ear wired earplugs. And part of the problem with the in-ear wired plugs, which will be a common theme with some of the other stuff as well, is the noise that's transmitted by your wires which go to your individual plugs. And these ones you can see are wide, and it actually transmits some of the noise up into your ears. So, you know, you've got airflow coming off your screen, hitting your helmet, and, you know, whether you've got your visor open or closed, you do get, you know, pressure variations coming through. These worked okay, but they were quite noisy. They weren't cancelling a lot of noise. So I went down the track of buying a few different types. I have, you know, quite a few experiences with Sony, so I'll just start with them. I bought the WI-SP600Ns, but the band on those was even stiffer than these, which joined the earplugs, and it actually transmitted so much of the noise up that I think it was noisier with them in than not with wind noise. The sound was great. The noise cancellation, it actually had a couple of settings on that one, but even on the high setting it wasn't that great. I did like the idea, but they weren't that great as far as that goes for the noise. So there's two factors with the noise. One is, you know, active noise cancellation, which is just for your engine noise and everything else like that. And the other one is wind noise and wind gusts. So when you get a gust, if a truck comes past the other way, it's pushing a big wall of wind. And so the Sony 600s didn't really do much in that regard. So those Sonys set me off down the track of the style like this that you wear around your neck, and these go in. This is the Plantronics Backbeat GO 410s. A couple of things I do like: they've got red for the right ear, so it's very quick to figure out which one. The Bluetooth connects really well to the phone. They actually have fairly good battery life. I found that these lasted for 5 or 6 hours, which is about what they say for the Sony 600s. And I think they genuinely did last that long. At one point I had 2 pairs, you know, I had a spare pair. And I do tend to carry these tucked in my jacket as a spare. They don't cancel quite as much noise, but they're pretty good. So they also cope fairly well with wind noise. This is very flexible. They don't pick up a lot of noise through the cabling, and they don't pop when the wind blast comes from trucks. So that's the Plantronics 410s. So after that I decided to bite the bullet a little bit, and I went for the Bose Quiet Comfort 20 Eyes. So this is my original pair. I'm on about my third pair of the ear buds, which are specific to this model. They actually wear out in the little hook that keeps them in your ear, and I've worn out some of these. They're not expensive to buy, and actually the best ones to buy are the original ones. This one I've had for so long that it's actually coming apart. It's I can get my fingernail in there, and it's actually got tape on both sides because it actually fully opens. This end of them has been wet numerous times, and they're still going, and this is sort of my backup pair. As far as that goes, for the noise and wind, these are by far and away the best in everything except for the popping. So they cancel the wind very well. They cancel other noise very well. You can't really hear your exhaust much with it. You don't hear a lot of tyre whine. You don't hear a lot of other bikes. You also can't hear people talking to you. They are the best noise cancellation out there. They've got little microphones on the outside, which, in an effort to stop the popping from the noise from trucks and other things, I have taped up to try and stop that, and it doesn't work, because they've also got microphones on the inside, which are monitoring what you are actually hearing, and between the two of those, the noise cancelling doesn't work as well, and you know, if you tape it up on the outside. So I've experimented quite a lot with these, and I also found that after a while they got worse. So the popping at the start is when they get an overpressure. It would just be a little pop, and these got to the point where it's almost like a click. So how bad did they get? Let's have a look. I've got 4 pairs of them. So I bought another pair just because these ones were wearing out, and these ones are now worn, like the rubber outer on these ones is going as well. So that was my second pair. I got a really comfy set of earplugs in those. These ones lasted about a year before they started popping loudly. So I then picked up a newer set, and just a little pro tip: if you have a look inside the left earpiece, there's actually the manufacturer's date on there. So I got a newer set, and I was running these quite happily with a slightly modified pair of the earplugs, which don't have the little hooks on them, but they're quite a comfy, softer rubber. These are an aftermarket pair that I modified. And then I went away from the Apple, and so I bought the Android version, which looks almost the same, but it's grey colour. It doesn't have the blue on the cable, it's just grey and black. But I run a Huawei phone, and the volume up and down doesn't work on it. It does work on some other Android phones. It works on my old Samsung. And these ones did not pop as much, and actually took a long time before they started popping. They were much more resistant. They are a newer pair. I don't believe anything much has changed on them. So I ran these for quite a while before they started popping, and they do not pop as loudly as the other 3 pairs. I've tried them back to back. I've got reasonably sensitive hearing to the noises, because I've got a little bit of tinnitus from riding for 40 odd years. So I I guess I've got, you know, $1,000-ish kind of invested in those, and the reason is because they do everything really well. 8 hours plus of battery life. The music quality is okay to good. It's not high fidelity, but it's pretty good. They're super comfortable. I did 915 kilometers coming back the other day. So, you know, they were on me for 9 odd hours. Didn't change them, didn't charge them. The noise cancellation and the wind cancellation and the motorbike noise cancellation is very good, except for the popping. So, you know, I would say that they're ADV ready, and they are expensive, but, you know, you often find you buy something cheap only to turn around and find that the expensive option is the better one. So I watched the reviews as well, and one of the things I saw coming up on YouTube reviews and stuff were these Taotronics. These are the TT-EP002s, and they're a similar function and form and fit and everything to the Bose, with a controller on the right hand side that actually does work on my phone. The earbuds on these ones I've actually changed for the foam comfort tips, so they're memory foam. You squeeze them and they've got little hooks for the ears. These are pretty comfortable. They're also quite low profile. They go in and on your helmet quite well. The battery doesn't last quite as long, but it's a physically smaller unit, as you can appreciate. They last about 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours, and they're pretty good. And they don't cancel as much of the wind noise or as much of the noise, to be fair. They've got an aware mode. You can turn on the external microphone. Phone call quality is okay. Just jumping back to phone calls, the phone call quality on the Bose is exceptional. Sometimes when I'm riding, I'll actually not have them connected through the bike. So the microphone is just sitting here, and if I slow down a little bit to maybe 80 kilometers an hour or something, tilt my head down, press the remote and take a call, people go after a while, oh, what's that in the background? You know, and I go, oh, I'm riding my motorbike, and they can't believe it because it's got noise cancelling also for your microphone on it. Some of the other ones say that they do, but they're nowhere near as good. But these Taotronics were half the price, and I do keep them as a backup in my other jacket, just as a second pair of headphones. They don't cancel as much of the noise and as much of the wind noise, so they're not as quiet, which is actually pretty similar to the Plantronics Backbeat 410s. Not quite as much noise cancelling, but no popping. So the no popping gave me an idea, and I thought maybe I'll try what someone else down another KTM rider riding with Tom tried. So I bought the Taotronics TT-EP002 headphones, which are noise cancelling. They actively turn on noise cancelling separate to the Bluetooth, so you can just have noise cancelling on, and in that configuration they last a long time. The music quality on them is good. I got this model because it's got the big ear pads, and what I did, and the reason these ones are taped up, is because I completely disassembled them and fitted them inside my other, I've got two of these Nishua carbon Enduro helmets. So my 2.5-year-old one is just for adventure riding, because the padding and stuff's going quite ratty on it. So I actually took it apart and tried to fit these in to the helmet in the ear cups, because these have got quite recessed ear cups, without the the foam and everything in there and fitted them in. But the only way to fit them in was to have the backing on them, which made them too thick. So I then had to take the actual foam, the protected foam, out, which meant the outside of these was sitting, I only had a thin layer of foam between that and the shell of the helmet. And the noise cancellation was pretty good. I put them on. The cups fit very well, a little snug but not too bad inside my helmet. And I turned on the noise cancellation. It was pretty good noise cancellation for the bike. And I thought, wow, I might have cracked it. This might be the way to go. Unfortunately, these pop very badly. So it just goes to show, you know, the Taotronics wired version don't pop from the overpressure, but these pop a lot. And I confirmed it by, once I put them back together, driving down the road in my four-wheel drive and sticking my head out the window. And these ones pop and the other ones don't. The Bose ones do. If you slam the door with your window up, the Bose ones and these make a popping noise. So yeah, they were cheap, luckily. I got them on the internet for 85 bucks or something. So it was an interesting experiment, but I converted that helmet back to standard and put all the padding back in it because that didn't work. Then I was talking with Michael, who just came on our trip to the Flinders, and he mentioned that the Sony noise cancelling headphones don't pop. So I bought these ones, going back to Sony's. These ones are the WH-1000s, and sure enough, using the four-wheel drive test of slamming the door to overpressure and also sticking my head out, these ones do not pop. But the hole for the ears is nowhere near as big on these. I know it doesn't look much, but it's quite narrow. You can't actually get your ears into them fully, so they're pressing on your ears. And I knew that on a long trip they would be quite irritating. And also they're a little bit thicker. Again, only 5 mils thicker. So I never took these apart to do anything with them. And actually I watch TV and listen to music on these ones. So the music quality is good. But yeah, I didn't go down that route with these. But what that did send me down the route of going to these in-ear earbuds, which are the WF-1000MX3s, and it's got red for right, so you put it in, tells you what the battery's doing and tells you whether it's connecting to Bluetooth. These ones are actually slaved to the Bluetooth on my bike, so you actually have to go through the right sequence to get it to work. And the sequence that I've found that works best is to turn your bike on first, then take the earplugs out so that your Bluetooth on the bike is ready to go. I've also fitted these with the memory foam tips, the Comply memory foam tips. So you see they start quite small and then get bigger. So the drill is to squeeze them, put them in your ear and then hold them in your ear for about 15 or 20 seconds. You feel it fill up. You also do have to tilt your head to the side, put the helmet on, then pull it over the other ear to get them to not move around and break the seal, so to speak, to get them to seal well. But if you do that, these are great. They have good noise cancelling, good wind cancelling. They're not as quiet as the Bose, but they're pretty good. But they don't have the popping. So I took these with me on the Flinders trip purely and simply for days when it was crazy windy. I don't know if you watched any of my videos, but I also ride quite a way behind the other riders if I'm in second or third or fourth position, because the air coming off the bikes will also make the Bose pop. So I tend to sit back for dust, visibility, in case anything runs out, and you know, now that I've got Navi on the bike and know where we're going, and we all share routes with each other and know where we're going, I'll also sometimes ride first and the wind's not a problem. But yeah, I carried these specifically for that. Now they've only got 3 hours of battery life, which you would say is not very good, but in the charger box here, they actually recharge. So I've had that one out, so you can see it's recharging. And they'll recharge 3 or 4 times from one charge here of the case. So I find that I'm generally, except for the last day when we zoomed back, I generally only ride for an hour or two and then I'm off the bike for a while. When you're off the bike, the easiest place to put them is here. With the Klim jacket, there's a little pocket here on the Carlsbad on the side, which is good for this, and not a heck of a lot else can go in there. The rest of the time I run my phone and the wired speakers in this pocket, and you know, it's accessible from the outside. Not fully waterproof, I guess, with the cord coming out, but if you zip it all the way up and the cord's right up to the top, it wouldn't be bad waterproof wise. But that's where I run these in the jacket. All right, so giving a little bit of a rundown. There's only one thing that has ticks all the way across, and that's the Bose. And the only thing that it doesn't do well on here is popping. Which is quite irritating and is the main drawback, but as you can see, I've got a few pairs of them. The Taotronics earbuds are also okay, and 5 or 6 hours of life. They don't have the popping, but when I say okay, the noise and wind cancellation is alright, but I think on a longer trip it would become more tiring than riding with the Bose. And the Bose, the reason I've got so many is because I find that is the way that I enjoy the riding the most. The sound fidelity on all of them is actually pretty good. The Plantronics are okay, and the Taotronics earbuds I would also say are just okay. They're not anything to write home about. The Sony WF-1000s also have an app. So on the app you can turn on the noise cancelling level that you want, and I suggest you just turn it on to the highest noise cancelling level and have it do that from the moment you turn it on. Because if you do it so that it's active, it's always changing the levels. The sound quality is good. You can change equalizers, you can go into the presets with that. Like I said, there's a little bit of a process to getting it to link up with your phone, but there's also a bit of a process with the Bose. So because on the 790 you control the music through your dash, it's talking to your phone, and so what I have to do is plug in and have the music playing, turn on the bike and wait until it talks Bluetooth to the bike and says, I'm now controlling your music, and your music will actually stop coming through your headphones. And this is whether you've got a Android phone or an Apple phone, it works the same. If you then just disconnect and reconnect, which is why I have it in the outside pocket of the jacket, then the music will come through and it will be controlled by your controls on the dash. So you can put your volume up and down, you can fast forward through tracks, or not fast forward, sorry, you can jump ahead or backwards through tracks. And I find that that's vital, because the tracks, when you record them, are all recorded at different levels. Older music is a bit quieter, newer music's a little bit more dynamic. So, you know, if you just had it at the one volume, some music you wouldn't be able to hear, and some music you would. I mentioned before that on this trip I took my older helmet, my Adventure Nishua, that I'd taken the foam out of. And after a couple of days on the road, I realised that I was getting more noise than I was used to just riding along. And it was a little bit windy, but the noise was quite bad. So because I had taken the actual foam out, not just the padding, but the actual foam out, I taped up the seams where I had taken it out to stop any wind whistling through, and actually ended up taping up the vents that come here and here and here to stop as much wind, because we had 5 or 6 days where we were just blasted by the wind. I mean, sometimes it was from the side, and most of the time it was quartering or directly to the front. I mean, our fuel economy and everything else suffered, but we're also suffering from bashing into the wind the whole time. And I realised it wasn't as quiet as my newer helmet, which I've been riding around on. So I taped all the inside foam up to stop any noise from wind whistling, and that's actually quietened that one down to the same level as the other helmet. So, you know, they're a little bit sensitive to it, to get as quiet as you can be, to be as comfortable as you can be for as long as you can be. But as you can see, the Bose is the one that I go with the most, other than the popping, which is annoying. I don't know how to get rid of that. The Sony, because you can recharge it 3 or 4 times, is probably my second choice. Either of these two, I carry one of these in each jacket, the summer and winter jacket, as backups. I've also just got foam plugs, because sometimes you just want to cancel out you know, wind noise and stuff without any active music. I mean, when you travel for 2 weeks, I went all the way through my music, just had it play alphabetically, and I went like 1.5 ways through it. And sometimes, you know, you find you're just turning it down and it's just more in the background, and sometimes you turn it so that there's no music playing at all. But that's a bit of a breakdown. I haven't by any means covered every option possible. I'm happy to try any option that anyone's got there if you leave a comment down the bottom. You know, on something that I haven't tried here that you've found that doesn't have the popping, that's got good noise and wind cancellation, good comfort. Music quality, you still want to have good music quality. You're listening to music, you want to listen to something good quality. 8+ hours of charge. My normal routine when we get to somewhere and we're setting up for camp is just to plug in the phone and the Bose to a double USB on the bike, let them charge up. It's wired directly through a fuse to the battery. You don't have to have the key on. I also had it in my bag so I could charge one other thing during the day while I was riding, so I was charging up a power bank, and then I would charge stuff off them. So yeah, anything that you think would be worth trying that ticks all those boxes. I mean, the dollars at the end of the day, you know, I've got nearly $1,000 invested in the Bose ones alone. They're reasonably expensive in Australia, you know, but it's often the case that you get what you pay for, and you know, you buy a cheaper option, then you find out that the more expensive option is better, and you end up having to buy it. Well, then you've bought the expensive one and the cheap one. So that's my quick breakdown on just my experiences on noise cancelling. I'd love to hear from anyone else if they think they've got a better solution, and anyone else who has a better way of connecting up with the bike. That's a bit of an overview. I'll put a snapshot of that on the end, and yeah, let me know if there's anything else you guys think that does everything else without the popping, and I'd be happy to try it. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe, drop a comment if you enjoyed it or if it was helpful. Thanks for that. Cheers.